Hello and welcome to Megan's Social Media Marketing Show. Today I have on a fellow Instagram challenge member and someone who I have, even though we've never met in real life, have virtually corresponded back and forth. I think you guys will love her. It's Dr. Camden Morganti here to talk to us about being an Enneagram 6. This is part of my series for Get to Know Your Customer through the Enneagram, with the goal for you marketers to be able to welcome all the Enneagram 6s into the fold. So thank you so much for being here with me.
Well, thank you for having me, Megan. You've been so helpful to me that I was happy to come on and speak with you today.
Oh, well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, maybe even a little bit about your family life?
Okay. Yeah, I'm Camden Morganti. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. So I'm in private practice at my therapy practice 3 days a week. And then 2 days a week, I work from home teaching college classes, psychology classes online, and writing and speaking. And so I run a blog and my website and my social medias where I talk about psychology and Christianity, gender equality, and purity culture. So those are my areas of expertise right now. And I live in Knoxville, Tennessee with my husband, and we have a 2-year-old daughter.
That's lovely. And I mean, you don't talk about any big issues or anything. I mean, it's fluff stuff.
Nothing controversial.
No, nothing at all. Okay, well, I am going to read a short description of an Enneagram 6, and you can let me know if you relate with some of these things, all of these things, what you take away from it. So
Okay.
This is from the book, The 9 Types of Leadership, from Beatrice Chestnut. I recommend her writing on the Enneagram all the time. And she says that the Type 6 archetype is the prototypical person who seeks certainty and security, but often doesn't find it. 6's attention automatically goes to reading people and situations to determine how trustworthy or safe they are. Primarily motivated by fear, though not always aware of it, they test and question people, continually asking, can you be trusted? Will something go wrong? And how can we be prepared if the worst happens? Sometimes called the loyal skeptic or the devil's advocate, 6s focus on forecasting potential problems so they can be ready to deal with trouble or meet with challenges that might occur. Now that seems like kind of a tough description. Like, we didn't focus on the positive in that description. However, I'd love to know, like, what is your response when you hear that description read?
Yeah, I didn't include as many of the positive traits of 6s. When I think about my type, I think of the main 2 characteristics being loyalty and anxiety. So kind of the strength and the weakness there. So yeah, loyalty is a big core value for me. And along with that, I think is being hardworking and dedicated. And usually 6s are really loyal friends and work for the common good of a group. But then along with that, with the anxiety is a lot of self-doubt and questioning, maybe a little bit of suspiciousness, like that description said, worst case scenario thinking, over analyzing. So I experience all of the above.
And have you heard that Enneagram 6s are estimated to be up to half the population?
I heard it's the most popular type, but I really don't know very many in my personal life, but even like amongst the influencers I follow and the podcasts and people I read, there's really not many that I see. So I don't know where they all are.
Yeah, I've wondered that myself. Maybe none of them know about the Enneagram. Maybe they're skeptical, so they're not typing themselves. But I've had the same experience. I don't know as many 6s, and it's hard to believe that it's up to that many of half the people that you meet. However, it is good to know from a marketing perspective, if it's potentially, let's even say 30% of your population, then those are people you're going to want to listen to. And
yeah, that's a big chunk. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dig into social media a little bit. What does your own time, because you have tons of that, right? Tons of leisure time. But when you're on social media for fun, where are you? Kind of, how much time are you spending? What does that look like in a typical week for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, my time on social media has changed a lot since it started becoming part of my job. So I actually don't spend a whole lot of time on social media just for fun anymore. If I do, it's mostly on Facebook because Facebook is where I more so connect with my friends, like people I know in real life, and also the Facebook groups. I'm a member of a lot of different groups for my profession or interests or values and things like that. So that's probably where I would spend most fun time. And then Pinterest, for recipes and things like that. But the majority of my time is spent on Instagram and now sometimes Twitter for work, not as much for fun. But of course they overlap, my interests and my work. And so yeah, so there's a little bit of fun there too.
Mm. So what can cause you to go down a rabbit hole? Like, what are those things on social that you just can't resist?
I try not to go down rabbit holes because I try to limit my time on social media. But if I do, it's usually because it's a topic like purity culture that I'm really passionate about and that I'm studying and speaking about and writing about. And if I see like a thread on Twitter, I did go down a little bit of a trail yesterday, or reading, like I'll pull up like 5 different articles on it. So I'm a wing 5, I'm 6 wing 5. And so you said you had a 5 on here already. And I think so the desire for knowledge, and that knowledge brings me security, which is one of the needs of a 6 is for security. So I think just anything that can give me more knowledge and help me become more of like an expert and learn more about a topic is what I read a lot about and spend more time doing.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on these platforms, are you a big commenter? Do you mostly just, I don't want to use the word lurk, that sounds bad, but are you mostly just reading and moving on? Are you engaging?
I'd say a pretty good amount, not a whole lot, but not nothing either. It's a pretty, I guess, in middle amount of engagement and commenting. If it's in particular like a brand or a influencer or writer that I'm really loyal to, again, like somebody that I followed for years, and somebody when I join their group or follow them and I decide to kind of commit to them, it's like I'm going to read every book that they write. I'm going to listen to almost every podcast that they speak on and things like that. So in those cases, I'm more likely to comment and try to add to the conversation. And then, of course, especially if it's something related to my niche areas, I also interact with and comment on. Yeah, so that's kind of how I look at it.
Okay. I know for business, you post conscientiously and often, but for personal, do you feel the need to keep up your Facebook feed and let everybody know about what your daughter's doing? Or are you more of a just, I'm going to scroll and see?
Post just seldom or kind of occasionally on my own personal pages, pictures of my daughter or our dogs or travel and things like that is what I'll post. And then sometimes it's sharing an article that I've written or just one that I've read and really believe in. So sometimes I'll do that. But yeah, I guess I try not to spend a whole lot of time on social for just my personal, and I can be kind of private. I don't know if that's a 6 thing. Maybe it's the suspiciousness or distrust that can sometimes come for a 6, but I tend to be more private, definitely with professional boundaries, but even in my personal life, just not wanting to share as much sometimes.
That definitely makes sense and tracks for an Enneagram 6.
Mm-hmm.
I have one that I know and love in my family, and it is hard to kind of break that boundary sometimes of the cautiousness and all that. Obviously, if you're family, you're usually on the inside of that, but even friends that I have that are 6s. But once you crack that shell, then you're in, and you're in for good. As that loyalty piece, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I can see how on social that would manifest itself in not necessarily, I mean, you're not commenting with revealing huge things about yourself or over posting about personal matters. I can see how that would translate that way. Okay, so do you have any pet peeves on social media, things that brands or individuals do that really bother you?
Sometimes oversharing bothers me with individuals, but I think a pet peeve is when there's a lack of nuance. And I don't know if that's a 6 thing or if that's just me, but in my writing, I really strive for nuance and to explore all sides of an issue and to kind of take a middle path approach and find value in different opinions. So if there's a lack of nuance at a very black and white kind of perspective, that is unattractive to me, and I'm unlikely to follow those kind of people. And same with like people who have a very like angry kind of presentation and very like controversial. I mean, I don't shy away from controversial topics, but presenting them in a really angry and forceful way. I don't like to get into conflict on social media. I'm not a 9, so I will do the controversial topics, but I like to value and respect all people's opinions. And so I don't like the really, the angry kind of conflict. So those would be some pet peeves. And then again, something that might just be me, but gratuitous self-promotion. I don't really like that, and I know that's necessary. Sometimes we talked about that just with the Instagram challenge and building my business, but when it's over and over and over and over again, that can be really off-putting to me. Or if it's just photos that seem to be, there's no content with them or no real purpose to them, that feels also sometimes gratuitous to me. So I don't know, might just be me, but those are my pet peeves.
That's hard on social media. And I think we perceive, yes, there are absolutely people who self-promote over and over and it gets nauseating. Absolutely, that happens. However, when it's ourselves, there's a very big difference between self-promotion and serving your audience and making it all about you versus delivering your message and making sure that everybody knows this thing that you have to deliver to them that is a special gift that only you can give them. So yes, but our brain sometimes it's very twisty and it's hard to distinguish, and we get tired of hearing ourselves because we're the only ones that see in every single one of our own promotions. So we get sick of ourselves and feel like we're over promoting, when the reality is such a small percentage of people are actually seeing all the things.
That's right.
Probably 0 people are seeing all the things that we do. But yes, I totally understand that feeling. Another thing about what you said is you don't like when people are being mistreated or shut down in any way. And an aspect of the 6 is egalitarianism, is meaning like, we're all the same here, guys. We're all, and that really is a hot button for 6s, is when people aren't being treated as if, which they are, all the same and all. So I could see how that would be a hot button.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go kind of round robin in the different social medias, and you can tell me what you do on there, if you hate it, like it, anything like that.
Okay.
All right. So Facebook
was the first one I used because it came out when I was in college. So that's something I've had for years. And like I said, one that I probably spend the most time on personally. I really like the groups and being involved. I guess that's a part of the 6, like wanting to be a part of a group and included in a group around a common interest. But I get a lot of value in the advice that's shared in groups and the resources that are shared in groups and the sense of community that it creates. Yeah. So that's how I use Facebook and what I like about that.
Okay. Twitter. You mentioned you're on Twitter.
Yeah, that's been a newer platform for me, but so far I really enjoy it because it's more about like news and academic are on there and just like journalism rather than personal. So I like that, as I shared. And so, so I'm getting to know that platform a little bit more, but making my tweets smaller, it can be a problem because you're limited there and I can be wordy. So far I'm enjoying that one and using that every day now too.
You're the one that's like, and this is going to be a thread because I cannot keep this into one tweet. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Instagram.
Yeah, I'm using Instagram. That's my primary one for my business right now, for my writing. But Instagram has been a great place to connect with like-minded people through hashtags, finding other people, and then through sharing their work and collaborating. Almost all of my collaborations have come through Instagram for podcast speaking and for people to blog for and things like that. And then personally, that's where on my personal account is where I share the pictures of my daughter and dogs. So I keep my personal account pretty small to just close friends and family so that I can share, a picture all the time of my daughter and they don't get sick of that.
Absolutely. That's a great way to do it. Just like
Yeah.
have the separate accounts and you can keep, yes, keep some of your, because I'm sure you didn't want, like you were saying, your daughter out there on the internet all the time for everyone. So that's great. Okay. Oh, while you're on Instagram, then are you on stories more or feed post, wherever you're spending your time?
Definitely more in the feed because I would rather read something than listen to something. I can read much faster than I could, listen. So I'll listen to the stories and watch the stories of just the first few that maybe appear, people that have close collaborations with and consider, friends. But other than that, it's mostly in the feed.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Okay. Where else? Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest. I have a professional page, but don't use it a whole lot. Mostly it's my personal Pinterest, like I said, for recipes and decorating ideas. And I used it a lot for like baby stuff when I was, looking when I was pregnant and looking for. So yeah, that's like a search engine for me and being able to see things and then start to follow. I have several, chefs and cookbook authors I follow and on there. So that's how I use Pinterest.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot lately. Is that people are more like, well, it's a search engine for me. They're not using it as. I think Pinterest has tried really hard to make it a social media, but it's not really. There are all those features, but I think I heard once a Pinterest professional who had worked with Pinterest themselves say that they even admit like the follow button, not really, like worrying about how many followers you have and that kind of thing on Pinterest is they just kind of added that because everybody else had it, but it's really more about the search and the SEO portion of it. So
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, where next? LinkedIn.
I have a profile there, but I don't use it. I don't really log on or use it at all. I'm not really sure how you would. You could have your business connections but I just haven't found it to be a helpful way even when I've been job searching before. I just haven't found it to be helpful.
Yeah. It is different. They have done a lot of work on it to make it more social friendly, to have you didn't used to have a feed or anything like that, but now there's more of that you can interact and have a feed. However, if you are a business, you can't connect with people directly. So it's kind of like, well, you have a bulletin board is pretty much what you have. So
Mhm.
it's interesting. It is an interesting platform. TikTok.
I don't use TikTok. No,
You
I'm
don't even
bored.
have a profile or
I
anything?
do not. I'm not on Clubhouse either. I did create a profile on Clubhouse because I had someone who invited me, but yeah, I've never even logged onto TikTok. I'm so old and boring.
Oh no, no,
Post
no,
to
no.
TikTok.
I will tell you, you can get lost there. It is like, at 15 seconds at a time or 15 seconds to a minute in time, and you're just flipping through, and all of a sudden a half an hour has gone by. Like, wait,
Mhm.
what? It's definitely one of those things. You don't get caught reading things, like you don't go down that kind of rabbit trail. But it's interesting in my conversation with the Enneagram 5, she said she does it. She looks there for inspiration for her Instagram reels, but
Uh-huh.
she doesn't create anything on TikTok because she's like, conversations aren't happening there. And she wants to have,
Engage.
engaged and have really deep conversations around the things that she's passionate about. So I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, that's not happening on TikTok. So, okay, let me think. Any others that I'm forgetting? Were you on Snapchat ever?
No.
No? Okay.
Snapchat. Mhm.
All right. So you're pretty mainstream. Instagram,
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook is
Uh-huh.
are kind of your go-tos. Okay. All right. Is there anything that you see from a brand or a marketing perspective that you're like, I wish they would stop doing that?
No, probably just like I said, the over self-promotion that we talked about earlier. But no, I think I like freebies, when brands offer freebies or, you get a free download if you join an email list. So I am very likely to do that. Yeah. So when people demonstrate like that this is going to improve my life or add value or like help solve a problem in my life or something like that, I'm likely to sign up for it. And then I'm likely to stay if they continue to demonstrate value. Like I have several emails that I still get, email lists, and the ones that I stay on, it's because they consistently send stuff that's helpful. And it's not like a post or email every single day promoting their products. It's like they're also giving me tips and, identifying problems that I'm having and some ideas for how to solve them.
That's good. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So kind of on the same token, if you were to sit down in the marketing meeting with one of your favorite brands or companies, what would you tell them to do to bring all the Enneagram Sixes to the yard? No, that's not that's not a phrase that the kids say today, is there? If you were to bring all of them to their platforms and for Enneagram Sixes to feel welcome.
I would say consistency, because that builds trust and loyalty over time. When you're consistent, it allows me to be a loyal follower. And I think it takes a few times sometimes before I'll follow something. I'll see it, or I'll, multiple times before I'll start following, because I want to see demonstrated and consistent value over time. So that would be one. And then I think creating a sense of community and belonging. So if there's an opportunity to create a sense of this is a group that's rallying around this common issue or common problem, that's more attractive to me than I guess if it was just an individual thing. So, and then things that are affordable, I'm always about that too. So if there's something that's affordable and a good value, and it's going to be worth my time and worth my money or investment. So being able to demonstrate that too, because I think sixes are largely practical and within our thinking like that. So, and then as far as, like I said, this might be my wing 5, but with my desire to acquire knowledge, and 6 wing 5s find security through knowledge and following like an expert or a certain philosophy. So I follow people who have demonstrated expertise. I'm not very likely to just follow an account because someone's telling their own personal story. And that's just me. I know other people love that, but I'm follow somebody who is an expert, whether that's by their education or their profession or years of experience, or just like a really unique, life experience or perspective or something like that. So those are the people that I want to listen to and learn from, is when there's demonstrated expertise.
That's good. That's good to hear. And that again jives with Enneagram Sixes in general, because they're usually looking for the authority in the room. Yeah. They're usually looking for who here can I trust to lead the way, to lead the charge, and we're going to follow them. So that is interesting. That is good to know.
Yeah, because of the self-doubt and the maybe not trusting ourselves, like I look to like a parenting expert, and I have one that I really like, and I follow her and listen to her podcast and read her blog and things like that, because she's an expert and she has years and years of experience. And I also feel a sense of security when I follow a certain philosophy or value system. So yeah, so that's an example in my personal life of how that habit, I guess, how I follow that habit.
So marketers, get those sixes on your platform, because if you gain a follower and you consistently serve them, you'll gain a follower for life. Is that what I'm hearing? Like,
yeah, I think so. As long as you're consistent with us and you don't like all of a sudden change your message or your approach, that would feel disloyal, I think. And if you, again, create a sense of belonging and like we're included and that other people have this same problem, and it's not just, we're not on our own, I think those are the people, the sixes are going to be likely to follow you on all platforms and buy your books and listen to you and things like that.
That's great. I love it. Communities are built on the backs of sixes. I am convinced. It's such an important part of our overall community that I think get overlooked sometimes, because you're not typically the ones like out there and, really, as you were saying, self-promoting, which you don't like. So, but they're there and they love you and they want you to, they will be loyal to you, as you said, as long as you do your job, basically, as long as you keep consistently serving them. So that's good to hear. Oh, This has been so insightful, Dr. Camden, as I always call her. I was like, Dr. Camden. So can you tell us, Dr. Camden, where we can support you? Where can we find you? And what do you have for those sixes out there, maybe to become your loyal followers?
Yes, that's true. You can become one of my loyal followers and hopefully I add value to your life. So I'm on, as we talked about, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under the name Dr. Camden. And my website is drcamden.com. And I write about purity culture and gender equality. And I have a quiz on my website. That's my freebie called Which Purity Culture Myth Affects You? And Megan, you went and took it. And so,
yes. Oh my gosh, guys, go take it. Because if you grew up in the church and, or maybe even not, I don't know, but it just to see what your prejudices are when it comes to this topic, because I thought, oh, I'm well beyond that. No, there are things that are still deeply ingrained in there. So, and it was a great resource, and she has tons of other follow-up things to help you after you take that quiz. So I absolutely recommend everybody does that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, thank you, Megan. It was fun talking with you.
Before we end this episode, I wanted to let you know that Megan's social media marketing show will be taking a break in July. So we can reformat the show slightly so that it begins on Instagram Live. Starting in August, I have a lineup of wonderful speakers for you that will join me live on Instagram. Then that conversation will be sent to all the podcast portals and my YouTube channel as well. So if that's how you enjoy consuming them, they will still be available there, but they'll just begin on Instagram. That seemed to make a lot of sense to me as a social media marketer to begin on social media. However, even though there won't be any new podcast or YouTube episodes in July, I will be uploading all of the previous episodes of this show onto IGTV in the month of July. So if you're one that likes to consume your content on Instagram and watch videos there, check out my IGTV at Megan Erickson. I'll see you over on Instagram.